Good afternoon. This is Constance from Mrs. T Weddings. I am doing another of our lockdown lives today, and I will be joined by the lovely Alison from For the Love of Dance. And she's going to be talking to us all about how to get you through your first dance on your wedding day, which is something that I know a lot of brides and grooms get very anxious about. So Alison's going to be joining us. She's going to be telling us all about her tips and advice on how to nail that first dance, but also to think about how to make that first dance really special and to make it into something really quite extraordinary. And it doesn't have to be just a couple moving around slowly on a dance floor with everyone watching. It can be something quite different. So I've got a hair on my lip. So I'm just waiting for Alison to join us, and as soon as she does, I'm sure she will be bounding in with lots of energy to tell us all of her top tips and advice on your first dance. And if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to pop them in the comments, and I will endeavour to ask her as we are having our conversation. Alison and I know each other quite well, so it's probably going to be quite an informal chat, to be honest. We live quite near each other, and Alison was even over the summer, so we spent a lot of time with her trying to get my core sorted, but kind of was a summer endeavour. Hello.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm really well. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. I'm glad that the sun's come out briefly. It's quite nice to
We're not actually far from each other, so it should be the same outside each of our windows at the moment.
Yeah,
I was just saying that as well as all your wonderful dancing, you were my Pilates teacher over the summer, trying to sort my core out, but it was really a summer endeavour. It wasn't a year-round thing for me. Giving up now, back to the chocolate.
that's right. It's the habit of doing it al fresco, isn't it? You have to rely on our beautiful British weather.
Yeah, we had Pilates in the garden. It was so wonderful. Right, well, let's talk about dance, because that is why we've got you on here today. So the lovely Alison is part of Sweet 15, so she is able to provide dance classes, because the one thing you are still allowed is a first dance. And
Yes.
So we want to make sure that everyone is feeling as prepared and confident as possible for that first dance. But before we go any further, let's talk about you and how you ended up doing such a niche job.
Thanks, Constance. Yeah, well, basically, I mean, I trained as a dancer in contemporary dance, and then when I left my training, I ended up doing a little bit of performing, and just ended up teaching street dance and all different random styles like that, mainly to kids in schools. But then I also started my own open level classes in the community. I was also teaching salsa at the same time. I started training for a company that teaches basics of all different social dance styles to people who want to just learn dance generally, so foxtrot, waltz, rumba, jive, all those kind of different social styles. And then somebody just approached me. They saw my promotion in the community dance classes that I was doing, just in a village hall type thing, and said, "Do you do first dance choreography?" And I was like, "Well, I haven't done it before, but yeah,
Yes,
I can do it." Yes, exactly. So I worked with this couple. My first couple, they had a rumba routine to a Nina Simone song. I can't remember. My Baby Just Cares for Me.
Oh,
and and then it just seemed like I kept on getting inquiries through that route, and then through the company that I was teaching basic dance classes for, they then said, "Oh, we've got a couple who are getting married. Can you choreograph their first dance?" And I thought, this is a thing. I didn't really but it was like, organically just grew, and I thought, well, I'll just give myself a brand. So The Love of Dance just seemed like a really good name for myself, and it all escalated from there. So that was 10 years ago that I taught that first couple. Now celebrating my 10th anniversary.
Yay! Pop the champagne.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
fabulous.
So
You must have seen all sorts of different types of dances and couples and music choices over the 10 years.
yeah, I've seen. We've had such a great array of styles and songs and song choices, and it's been brilliant. Every couple that I've worked with, I can honestly say that I've just loved teaching with them. I know that sounds a bit like, yeah, whatever, but actually I have. And so we've had things like you know, the usual typical traditional, say traditional, like the, you know, the obvious first dance songs. But then also we've had, I say we because I had other teachers working for me as well. So you know, like Black Eyed Peas and
really?
the Dirty Dance, quite a popular one that keeps coming up.
Do you always have to teach the lift?
Well, actually, I've had one couple. It's on my Instagram page. They did do the oh, no, not the lift. Not the lift. Well, yeah, but they did a variation of it. So you know,
yeah, you don't want a broken nose on your wedding day from attempting a lift.
No, and the thing is, quite often the wedding venue's floors are obviously not like sprung floors, and you know, they're concrete. So you know, yeah, when a bride has got her heels on and the big dress, I think it's better to
know your limits as a bride.
That's right. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, brilliant. What's been the most kind of exciting dance or routine or something that you've ever taught? What's been the most crazy thing that you've ever had?
They've not all been too crazy. I mean, by my standards anyway. I mean, I've worked in all different types of dance, so you know, nothing really is that crazy for me. But the one that I loved was probably that same couple. They had a medley of 5 different songs, and I, you know, they just didn't know what.
Crazy.
Yeah, but the thing is, obviously, like each song could be like 3 minutes long, and you can't do a whole half-hour first dance routine and like maybe involving other people, because that is a lot of work and sweat.
Maybe that's how you eke it out during current restrictions.
Yeah. Well, that's right, actually. Yeah, just to really prolong that wedding ceremony and celebration. But what I did was I edited their music for them, so we stuck with those 5 songs. I edited the music down to, like, you know, the real like highlight part of the song. Stuck the 5 together, and they ended up doing a nice medley of songs. So we started off with Together, the Lamar version, and then they did a bit of Dirty Dancing with that aforementioned lift, and then on to doing Arabic little routines, because he was from Iran and she was from Iraq. Her family tradition, you know, heritage is from that side of the world, so they had like a little celebration of that. And then they went on to Black Eyed Peas, no, Usher's song, OMG, oh my gosh. But you know, so it was I think it was about 5 songs in the end. I can't remember the 5th one, but yeah, so it was just it was so much fun. And they were up. Yeah, and the beautiful thing is that most of the people that I work with aren't dancers. You know, they haven't. Some of them may have done ballet.
Have a dance background?
No. They was they were just really up for pushing the boundaries a bit and doing something fun. Like, personality is such a big thing of how I work with a couple anyway, you know. So to what they want and see how they feel about doing something a little bit different. So personality form a big part of it. And I normally get a feeling when I first have that consultation with a couple that if they want something a bit just chilled and, you know, nice and classically simple, or if they're like, actually, yeah, we've been watching this on YouTube and we love what they did, and they get all that. So
brilliant. I bet with TikTok things are evolving pretty quickly as well. People's ideas of dance have kind of grown and developed.
Yes, that's it. I reckon they really have, with all the little quirky routines, and I'm sure that's going to be throwing some of those in.
New trends, exactly. So obviously, you know, first dance is something that all couples get very nervous about, regardless of whether they can dance or not. And what are the pieces of advice that you can give to couples to really help them with those nerves? Or how can you help them get around that?
Well, I mean, there's so the way that I will work with a couple anyway is, for a start, I try and recommend, if I can, nip them early on in the nip them in the bud, but that's not quite the right phrase, but catch them early on in planning. I do try recommend that couples don't start any less than 6 months you know, in advance of their wedding, because it takes a lot of time and practice to learn how to move together. So if you want a routine, or even just learning the basics in the style of dance, which I always make sure that I teach to a couple anyway, so they've always got the basics in that style of dance that suits their song. So they can always refer back to that if they get stuck during their routine. And then if they want something choreographed, you know, it takes a lot of time, especially if you haven't danced before, to feel, not just memorize the steps, but get it more or less second nature into the muscle memory and into the brains, because then on the day when those nerves might kick in, you've got more chance then of being able to just fall back onto alternatives, the basic style of dance that you've been practicing over the last 6 months plus, hopefully. You know, but also it can be relax more into it because you'll have had all that practice time. And then the other thing that I recommend as well, that I do try and do with all my couples, is get them into their wedding venue for, if not the final rehearsal, for as many practices as we can. So quite often the venues are brilliant at allowing us that time an off-peak time for them, you know, to get their permission to use the space for, you know, a few hours or less, however long the couple feels they need. Because once you're in the venue, you can almost visualize how it's going to feel on the day. You can get excited as well about it. You can imagine where the guests. Oh, it's so lovely. And just to have that space to ourselves for that time is beautiful, you know. It's a really lovely thing. So, and also to try out the heels, the shoes, similar pair you might wear on the day. I've just written about this, so you know, if I could post a link somewhere for all the good reading.
That'd be really useful. We'll put the link in the comments afterwards, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely, thank you. And then I'm just a massive believer. So when I've come from a performance background, there's all these techniques that performers use to, before they go on stage or something like that, to you know, try and just dampen down the nerves a bit. So things like just taking like 10 minutes or so before you do the first dance, just together alone, just to breathe, calm down, calm the mind, almost like visualize yourselves doing it in the space before you go there in, you know, in front of the guests to do it. You know, things like that. They're just really simple, quick and easy things to do. So yeah, breathing is a massive part of it. And you know, as you mentioned, I'm a Pilates instructor, so how you hold yourself and the confidence, you know, so I would work.
Sorry, I'm with you. Shoulders back.
Exactly. So that, you know, just even like you've heard of the power pose. So, you know, you stand just your hands on your hips. Have you heard of that? And
I'm in my power pose.
You feel good. So the power pose, it's crazy. Like, you're supposed to stand there before you do any public speaking or performance, with your hands on your hips, and just to stand there nice and tall. And it's just trains the brain. It's almost like sends signals to the brain that you've got this and this is your moment to shine. And you know, so I encourage. Yes, that's it. Imagine that cape, like
the wedding behind me. Hands up. Yes. It's going to be flying through the air any minute now.
Yeah, exactly. So there's all these visualizations that I practice with my couples as well, you know, when we do that final rehearsal in particular. So when we're polishing, and I say to them, okay, now you've got the routine under your belts, you know what you're doing. Now you just need to bring your mind into the moment. And so there's all those kind of techniques that we practice as well.
I love that. I'm going to be giving these tips to my couples now on the day behind the scenes. I'm going to be like, right, let's do bit of breathing, bit of power pose.
No, absolutely. So the thing is, the way I see it is the whole day is like a performance, right? Because pretty much for the whole day, I'm going to be on the bride and groom.
Yeah.
And, you know, you want to know you can stand tall, shoulders back, feeling confident, chest lifted, power pose it all the way at the moments where you're not in view of your body. And breathing is so lovely, especially when you've got to say vows and things like that, you know, taking your time. All of that can be definitely take it through the whole day, not just for the first dance moment.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. This is perfect. Brilliant. And so tell me, what is your favorite song that, I mean, clearly there are some songs that get used by so many couples, but what's your favorite one to teach?
Oh gosh, to be honest, so I come from a jazz background, right? So my
Okay.
dad is a jazz musician, and I love, and I've this is another blog that I've done, is about finding unique songs. So you get all the lovely, you know, the traditional ones. Ed Sheeran's quite popular.
Yeah.
There's a lot of acoustic versions now as well out there of traditional songs. And DJ Mike Readings, he's one of our colleagues, isn't he, in this wedding world? Brilliant DJ, and he's got a brilliant playlist out there for, you know, wedding dance songs. So it's about finding, although there are songs that I like, that are a little bit more left of centre, I like finding things that are a bit different and unique, but also it's about the couple's personal journeys and preference. And, you know, so they're, if a couple is stuck on a song, there's also ways that you can, you know, so a couple that I'm working with at the moment don't have a song yet. So I've given them ideas about how they can go off, have a Saturday afternoon, couple of hours, bottle of wine.
I always add in a bottle of wine at this point.
Get creative, go on a musical journey and just listen to stuff. And what's brilliant about Spotify is you can just listen to one song, and then, you know, that maybe you know that you like but isn't quite right, and then go on that journey and just keep listening to music as the new suggestions will come up on Spotify or YouTube, for example, don't they? And you can just keep listening. And also, if you're having a live band, quite often they can do a little rearrangement of a song. So if there's a verse that doesn't feel quite right, you love the song and the medley and, you know, melody, sorry, you can maybe ask the band to change things around a bit, change the tempo, play it a bit slower, too fast. You know, there's just brilliant ways
that you can really make it work. I'm going to have to just excuse you 1 second. Exactly. Charlie, my dog, is demanding I open the door for him. There we go. You know Charlie.
Gorgeous boy.
Being quite demanding. Sorry about that. No, I totally agree. And I think that was another thing that I was going to say is, do you sometimes work with the musicians that they're going to have? If they're working on original compositions or if they're adapting a song, will you work with those musicians to understand exactly what they're going to be dancing to?
Yeah, exactly. I do try, if I can, get the details of the DJ and all the musicians. So if the musicians, the band, so if they are having a DJ, then I will talk to the DJ. So for example, the DJ will know where to start the song, where to stop the song, when to invite the rest of the crowd or the guests onto the floor, because so the DJ knows at that point, you know, roughly the time point in the music to say, okay, we're now going to welcome the guests. I mean, obviously the bride and groom quite often, but unfortunately, I should say at the moment, guests aren't allowed on the dance floor, are they? So it's unfortunate, but dancing allowed.
In weddings, in old school weddings, they would be welcomed on at that point.
And they will return, they shall return. But yes, definitely, I do try and speak to the band as well. So yeah, if I can convey any of those notes to the band, it's definitely helpful.
Brilliant. And sometimes you see big troops dance, so it might be all the bridesmaids or all the groomsmen do a surprise and, you know, do one of these dances for everybody. Have you, you know, could you do that as well, or is it only couples that you work with?
Yeah, do you know what? And it's something that I always mention to couples, but I've not yet done it for a wedding. I've done it for birthday parties. So, for example, I worked with a few groups of people who just want to surprise the birthday boy or girl, or I've hired dancers in as well for somebody's birthday party, and then I've got the mates of the birthday guy to learn the routine as well. So then they suddenly appear on the dance floor after the dance. With the dancers, you know, and that kind of thing.
Flash mob, that's it, like a flash mob.
Exactly, yes, yeah. So, I mean, one couple that I worked with, they wanted me to film a little routine so that then their kids, because they already had, you know, it was their second marriage, they already had kids, and other members of the family could then get sent the video, learn it at home, and then get onto the floor and practice it. But I've time with the bridal party, for example, for them to learn a routine in that same way. But yeah, I've done it for various events anyway.
But you could definitely do that if they had the time. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Or if it was
that's
part
right.
of a
We could
hen
do.
do or something, you could go along and teach them all the
Mm.
routine.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. So I've done hen parties. That's the other thing that I offer is hen dance parties. So for if you're
Brilliant.
planning like a hen party, then normally in the area that the hens are going to go onto for the evening part, then I'll find a space locally, or if
Yeah.
it's like a club, sometimes they'll let a space during the day, because there'll be no other punters in there, and we'll just do something like choreograph a routine. So I've got one bridal party sent me their video of them doing their Beyonce mashup at the wedding. So when I'd done their
Oh,
hen party for
amazing.
them, they mash up at the wedding as well, and it was brilliant. They're all in there, like obviously the bride and bridesmaids in their dresses and what have you, and it was lovely. Yeah,
Oh,
so
I love
that's the
that.
thing.
That's fantastic. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah,
I remember once I was a
yeah.
bridesmaid and we all had to sing the Shoop Shoop song by Cher, and we had to choreograph our own dance moves. It was disastrous. And we were so drunk by the time that we were doing it that it was terrible. But it was very good fun.
Oh, that's so good. I love it. I love it when people do things like that. It's so memorable, for not just for themselves, or creating those incredible memories for the photographer will be having a whale of a time tapping away, but also for the guests to see it. It's just like they'll be talking about that for weeks.
Yeah, it was good fun. Right, so let's not avoid the obvious, which is dear old COVID-19 has meant that everything has changed in our world. So tell me a little bit how you've adapted your business to help couples over the last 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, it is so sad. I mean, obviously, when we were in lockdown earlier on in the year, the online dance classes were, the obvious way forward. Yeah. I mean, it's for me because it means that I can expand my geographical reach and go further. And I am still saying to some couples, if we can still do our final rehearsal in your venue, so we can still meet face to face in some way. That's brilliant. Obviously now we are, during this month, we're not allowed to meet face to face, but hopefully as this lifted, we'll be able to still meet. We have to wear masks. And, depending on how the couples feel, we'll obviously be socially distanced anyway, but at least we can be in the same place together. But yeah, online lessons is just really the way forward at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've just been offering various different ways to work around it. That's just how it's.
And presumably, once restrictions are a little bit lesser, you can meet face to face, maybe in outdoor spaces when the weather's a little bit brighter, and maybe I don't know. Can you do a lesson in the garden?
I've done that lesson in the garden many times. Yeah. Also, for couples who don't have access to a large space, unless they hire out somewhere like a village hall where we can still be socially distanced. I mean, I've worked with couples in their gardens. I've done it in parks in London before. When it was just so easier just to meet outside without having to worry about hiring a space. That's also been an option. Yeah.
Oh,
so
lovely.
I mean that. Yeah. I mean, you'll gather I don't have fixed premises, and that is for because then I can be more flexible for the couples. I don't mind travelling, so I'm based in Bedfordshire, but I'm talking with a couple in London, and I've used free spaces around London, and then I'm talking to a couple who are their wedding venue is actually King's College in Cambridge, so hopefully we're going to get their final rehearsal, if not some of their lessons in the space there. So there's just it's just about being a bit flexible according to the current guidelines, and that's all we can do at the moment. So
that's great. And then so talk me through, so let's say that I've got lots of couples that would love some help. So tell me, from the moment they go, we need help, we need some assistance with this, so you're saying ideally, it doesn't have to be, but ideally you'd start about 6 months at least out from their wedding date, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And
exactly.
What's the process from then on? How often do you meet, or do virtual classes? How does it work? Talk us through the process.
Yeah, so the thing is, so I'll always have that half an hour consultation with a couple over Zoom at the time for the current time, and we'll just talk through all their ideas. Before we meet, I'll also suggest pointers about how they can go and get inspiration, so that when we do meet, they're a bit more informed about the options available to them, and they get more of a feel for what they want. Maybe if they've not got their song, then I'll send them the blog, for example, to get inspired, so that they can come to me prepared with some ideas, and in that consultation we'll just plan how often they want their sessions. So ideally, because once a week is sometimes a bit too demanding on couples' times. I've been known to do, say, like a weekend intensive session, so they have maybe 3 hours, like on a Saturday morning or something, and then we'll bust out loads of moves. They'll learn lots within that time. I obviously encourage them to practice in between our time together, so that it's not like they have a long period of time for it all to fall out their minds before we meet next. So I do my little checking up, see they've done their homework, and then I'm that one. I'm that teacher.
You're that person. Oh.
Hopefully not this scary. Yeah.
I'd be like, I drank the wine. I forgot the dance moves though. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously, like I say, to practice in between times with me it's also about getting that feel for dancing with each other. So I will suggest just put any old music on. Don't always use your first dance song, because you're likely to get a bit like, oh God, I've got to listen to the song again, and I do not want that to happen for a couple. So I put on music similar to this song, just even if you're not going with the steps and the steps are still a bit vague, just prat around your kitchen or your what have you, and
just feel relaxed dancing.
Yeah, you get more of a flow together, and it's a really lovely thing to do anyway. And then just when we actually meet, like I say, it doesn't have to be weekly. It could be monthly. It will just be a case of picking up from where we left off. And I always say to couples, film the rehearsals that we do together. So if we're doing it on Zoom, I'll record it anyway. But then if we've at least filmed one of their rehearsals during each of the sessions, then they can go home and watch that. So if there's anything they forget, then they've got that record of it there, with them. I normally say about 9 hours works if a couple wants something choreographed. And that will give them time to learn those basic steps, learn some sort of choreography, so that we'll plot parts of the dance. Choreography doesn't have to be a scary word, by the way, because once you listen to a structure, quite often there's ways you can repeat chunks of movement. So it's not like a different move for every beat of the song. You can normally take a section, repeat it, and then I'll add in those typical like generic partner dance moves, so like underarm turns, those nice dips and that you'll have done probably anyway, prattling around on a dance floor at some point in your lifetime, and they'll just be again like second nature. So those generic partner dance moves can just be thrown in as well. Because I always say, you're not doing this for an international ballroom competition. This is just for your guests' enjoyment and for your enjoyment, and you just want to make it fun really for yourselves and easy to remember, manageable,
and not make it into something stressful. So I think a lot of couples make it into this really big event that they're really stressed about, and actually it's meant to be really fun. And nobody's ever said that you have to make this into your new skill set. This isn't going to be graded. This is just about you being able to have a lovely time together in front of all those people that love you so much and are with you on that special day, right?
So you're not going to be like strictly judges in the with like holding up the little paddles 10.
If you do want to do that, make a great photo.
Actually, that would be that's it.
Oh, brilliant. And so what is it that, I've just kind of given my opinion on the first dance. What is it that you think makes a first dance so special?
Well, I think definitely when a couple has had that lovely time to practice, and it really, I sense it from them. Like I feel like you can almost feel tension in the air when you feel like people are stressed. You can almost feel that tension, like
The
coming off
energy
them, like
changes.
that
Yeah.
aura. But actually, I know that when I've worked with couples, and like I say, 6 months is ideal. But if it is a shorter period of time before the wedding, then as much practice as you can get together is also a good idea. And just that general amount of practice behind closed doors, time just to run through things, and even when you're not able to dance together, just to be able to have that moment on your own and just visualize everything is definitely really helpful to helping you feel more
Fabulous.
relaxed. And
Yeah,
yeah,
it's what you want. And I guess the other huge benefit is fitness, because everyone wants to get in shape for their wedding, right? And this can really help.
yeah, absolutely, yes, yeah. So my Pilates, if I'm not working with a couple in with my wedding fitness as well, so that can be a separate option for them. Or if a couple have just opted for the first dance lessons, then I do still recommend ways that they can get themselves feeling a bit more confident about. I talked about the posture, that's a big thing, and Pilates is a massive really helps with improving improving posture.
Must remember.
So I mean, but also just I've got another blog on that one. Funny you should mention it about
just rattle out all your blogs.
You got a lot of reading to do, people. So just ways to plan a fitness routine to whatever you need for the day. So if it is, fitness is, for me, isn't just about getting in shape and feeling buff on the day and what have you. It's about that confidence, but also with Pilates, I talked about the breathing. It's a massive, brilliant way of de-stressing. So when you're in wedding planning frenzy, it's so good just to take an hour out of your time and do whatever fitness you like. Any sort of fitness is known to release endorphins to make you feel good, happy, and also just that stress that's probably when you've got so much going on, you've got to take time out. That's right. Yes. Yeah. Just be kind to yourselves. And so the wedding fitness is another strand of what I offer, a artist program for people who are planning their weddings as well. So
fabulous. And you can do that virtually as well. You can do that on Zoom as well.
Yeah. I've been teaching, again, since March, I've been teaching most of my Pilates classes online, unless I can get to that back gardens.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, that's brilliant. Well, thank you so much. Just before we go, can you tell everyone how they can find your blog, most importantly, which we will put in the comments, but just in case, and if they are interested in finding out more and would like to have that consultation with you to find out how you could help them, how they can get in touch with you? Yes,
sure. Thank you. So my website is www.theloveofdance.co.uk. I'll probably be tagged in this video, I guess, so you can also message me if you want to get in touch with me. I've in my link on my bio on Instagram, there's an option of downloading a free guide. So if you're not sure yet about how first dance, how to go forward with first dance, or you're not sure what styles are available, or if you've got your song and you want to know how you should dance to it, hopefully the guide will give you some pointers to know what options are available. And then also, I think I've got a link on that landing page to book a 30-minute consultation with me. So even if you're not sure yet if first dance is for you, just chat to me and we can talk through some ideas. And it's no pressure to proceed, but it will just give you some ideas about how you can go forward with your first dance.
About how to make it work.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
Brilliant. So, well, thank you so much, Alison. You've been an absolute pleasure. And anybody who wants to book their intimate wedding, micro wedding with Sweet 15, once we're allowed to happen again, you can include Alison in your 15K and we can make it all happen. So do get in touch. And Alison, you've been an absolute superstar. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, and also for including me in Sweet 15. I'm so honoured. I'm so pleased about that. Thank you.
Only the best.
Yes.
Fabulous. Oh, have a great afternoon. Take care.
Oh, lovely to see you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.